So I was just doing a lesson with my student, and he's a beginner, and he's ready to get a little spicy, get a little funky with his sort of beginner rock beats. So to this point, he's been doing very solid kind of eighth note hi-hat grooves with predominantly eighth note back and forth between the bass drum and the snare drum. So he's doing beats that are like this, let's say. Okay, so what had happened was he had been like jamming with his dad, and he just kind of stumbled into something that is sort of the cornerstone of sort of funk, or sort of the next level of drumming with a little bit of flow to what you're doing, which is something that when I was a kid I first was exposed to through a drum clinic with Chad Wackman, which is just, but everybody does this, and this is just the idea of ghost notes. And what it is, it's going to sound like this. So I'm taking the same basic pattern, and I'm giving it just a little special sauce. And you can probably see what I'm doing is I'm taking my left hand and I'm sort of slipping it in quietly on the snare in alternating the offbeats of the 16th. And what I mean by that, if you're not familiar, is this. So we've got these eighth notes, which you've been playing on the hi-hat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3. What we're going to do is two things, just two changes in our hands. Your right hand continues to play eighth notes, but it needs to travel from hi-hat to snare for the 2 and 4 only. So it goes like this. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then your left hand is going to be playing just the notes in between, the 16th notes, like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. But instead of up here on the hi-hat, where I just played it so you can hear those notes alternating, and you're going to bring that over on the snare and a little quiet. Remember, we're doing this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now let's bring that bass drum in with that same 1 and 3 and on the bass, and put it all together like this. From there, you can kind of, when you get comfortable with that, you can kind of let your hands and feet speak a little bit within that. You can let some of the ghost notes pop out a little bit louder, like this. Okay, so everything that I just did, while it seems like, hey, that's not fair. You didn't explain that first. Everything I just did was a sort of improvisation within the boundaries of my left hand is staying on the snare and playing offbeats. My right hand is continuing to travel back and forth, and it has the responsibility for the backbeat on 2 and 4. And my feet are going to kind of tell the tale. My bass drum is going to have a little conversation with my hands. And whatever I hear myself in my head, I just sort of make it happen, or just make my hands kind of speak out and see where that takes me. And similarly, that opens me up to doing just some 16th note kind of fills here on the snare, like this. And if you want to give it even a little bit extra zest, you may have picked up the subtle thing I'm doing, which is giving a little buzz roll rough into the forehand. I'm going. So play around with those ideas, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. My student certainly, I think, had a lot of fun opening that door and seeing what's behind it. There's a whole world of all kinds of funky things you can do there, and just a really great way of having conversations between yourself and a bass player. Really fits in well with a rhythm guitarist who's using a lot of fret noise to keep a motor going. Just fits into a lot of styles, and it instantly makes you just a little more sophisticated. So that's a great thing to master early on. Kind of sprint ahead and see what's ahead of you, and then fill in the gaps in between and sort of bolster your foundation that holds that whole thing up. But take that glimpse, try it out, and hopefully that's a fun new addition to your arsenal.